Round two, about to get started. 5 back of the lead. I might want to try to like practice running everything. At least like giving safe bids, but I don't think I can come back to win. I can definitely continue to have 1,000 rated tournament because I shot 1,000 first round. Might average down to like 998 or something, but close to 1,000. Clean up a lot of mistakes from the first round and we can have a really solid one on our hands today. So we're just gonna dive right in, starting on hole number 2 again, since this is a shotgun start, and you can hear the wind has absolutely picked up for this second round. I'm gonna go with the same play, which is this Firebird on a force over forehand. I'm trying to put a little less anhyzer on it and a little less speed because that right to left wind is gonna help it carry to the left. Really happy with that first drive of the day, basically parked it, and that's really good because I was practicing putting between rounds, and if you guys watched yesterday's video, you know that I was already a little fatigued going into the first round because I definitely overdid it with throwing the disc too much. And so between rounds, I was trying to practice putting and was making probably a quarter of my putts. So it's definitely not feeling good. You want to gain confidence as you practice putting, and I just kind of lost a little bit of it. But I know that during rounds and during practicing, my putts can be a little bit different. So I wanted to make sure that I focus up on all these first putts. And hole number 3 is going to be a good opportunity to do that because I throw my really safe flat top Firebird on a force over backhand around the Mando, leaves me with about a 25-foot putt. And it does not come out very well. We talked a lot about putting in the last video, so we won't reiterate a lot of those points. But one of the things that I started to feel as we went out to lunch was in the meaty part of the palm of my hand, there was a lot of stress there. And that's the part of your hand that helps to open up your pinky and ring finger. And that gives a lot of pop to my putt and spin. And so that first one drifting out the left side, I'm really not happy with. Really don't want it to go 2 for 2 there. But we're still 1 down, and if I can get through these first 4 or 5 holes at a better clip than I did last round, I have a good opportunity to continue my 1,000 rated tournament because I'm pretty sure that it's going to play a little harder now because people are going to be significantly more tired because of the hot beating sun, and the wind is definitely picked up for the second round. So if I shoot another 7 down, I'll feel really confident about shooting a 1,000 rated tournament. I thought I threw the perfect drive, but there is an iron branch that completely smacked down my destroyer. So once again, I pitch up and take another par to stay at 1 down going into a hole that I doubled during the first round. Hole number 5 is a par 4 which goes across this pond and back to the right that you can see. I'm deciding to stable up to my most overstable destroyer in the bag. It's a 2021 Calvin Halo one because during the first round I pulled it a little bit right and the disc was not stable enough to get back left. This one I do pull a little more right than I would want, but definitely a safer line, and it leaves me safe with about 320 feet to pitch across into a pretty skinny landing zone, and I'm having to run pretty drastically downhill. So trying to get a little bit of practice in, feel how it's going to feel. I stable up to a Firebird instead of my Honor, even though I probably could throw a mid-range because I just want to make sure that I get it over the water. If I go past the basket and OB, I can tap in a par. It ends up coming out a little bit early because I'm still not great at throwing up and down hills. Definitely something that I'm needing to work on because you do find yourself there a lot. And it leaves me with probably a just inside the circle putt, a lot of wind, and I decided to put on my elbow sleeve because I definitely started feeling my elbow hurt, and I knew that it helped me to open up and pull it right. But I didn't want it to pull it that right, so I immediately take that off. That elbow sleeve has a lot more compression than my other one, and I only had that one on me. I definitely wanted to use it to make sure that my elbow was feeling fine, but when I threw that putt, I thought it was in the basket, but because of how much compression is in that sleeve, it just pulled it to the right, or at least that's what I'm telling myself it happened. Really disappointed to not take birdie there, but a par leaves me 1 down through these holes where I was even yesterday after taking a double, so my momentum is better, my score is better, but I feel significantly worse about this round, which is a weird thing so far. Hole 6 here is the double Mando hole again. I'm sticking with my force over play with the Firebird, even in this right to left wind. I do want to throw it a little bit softer than I did the round before because I left myself an outside the circle putt. Luckily, I'm able to just connect with it perfectly. It lifts in the wind, and I absolutely park hole 6, bringing me to 2 down in the round, which is 2 strokes better at this point than I was the round before. But again, I'm not nearly feeling as good, which is something that I'm trying to wrestle with in my head and talking with my caddies, which big shout out to my caddies, the whole Eastman family. They always do everything together, and so it was awesome to have all of them out there helping me out, keeping me positive, and just talking me through like this weird thing, whereas my body is taking over, and I'm playing pretty decent, but I really feel bad. Hole 7 is a 320-foot hyzer, and this is one of the weirdest shots of all time for me. I early release it, really scared that it's going to drift out of bounds to the left side, and it nearly does, but it's a leaner. On the OB flags, the people walking down the next fairway called me safe. Shout out to Jordan and Josh over there. It was such a weird feeling throw that somehow stays in bounds. Shout out Kevin Kiefer. I don't think I would have been able to do this if you hadn't signed my Honor, but it leaves me an inside the circle putt, which does leak a little bit high on me. Again, the putt is not feeling good. I'm trying to figure out how to compensate for it, but it does go in. So we are 3 through 6 holes now, I believe, and this is how that disc was leaning on the flag. barely in bounds. Really kind of a lucky break, but we'll take it as we move into an absolute gimme of a par 4, just over 500 feet, slightly downhill, with a double mando to negotiate, which is 430 feet off the tee pad. The wind is a helping wind, it's a right to left, so I need to leave my destroyer a little bit wider than I did the round before, but there are no geese to aim for, so I don't really know where the perfect landing zone is going to be. I do definitely throw it a little bit shorter than the first round, probably because I'm getting a little bit tired, but also because I put it on a lot more hyzer, but it leaves me with this pretty simple upshot here. I'm a little farther from the mando. I parked it with this pure last round, so I decided to throw that again, even though I'm a little farther, where I should have taken the time to say, hey, what should I be throwing right now? And it probably should have been a slight flex shot with one of my zones, because I'm much more comfortable with that shot than trying to like barely hyzer flip a straight shot with a flippy putter. Leaves me outside the circle, but my putting stroke felt a little bit better. Just a little high, but I'm glad that I didn't leave it low. There was a tailwind that I thought would drop it, but it was a tail right to left, I'm realizing now, so it just helped to keep it in the air, unfortunately. Really disappointed to not get that birdie. That one should absolutely be a birdie every time that I play it. Hole 9's a pretty difficult par 4, only a couple birdies in this round. I thought that I burned over my destroyer too much and it was going to go OB. Luckily it's not OB, but I'm behind this absolutely terrible lie where I try to throw this force over forehand and end up basically throwing it on a forehand roller angle instead of a steep anhyzer angle. So probably got that angle wrong by about 15 or 20 degrees. I definitely think I could have gotten up and down. I was only about 350 feet from the basket. And I know that that's a shot that I can throw with such an overstable disc, but we just pitch up. Not really satisfied with the pitch up because I'm leaving it a little bit short. Still have about 15 to 20 feet. Maybe a little bit closer than that. It felt a lot farther in the moment. And we're able to put that in to stay at our 3 down. And now I'm thinking I was 4 down through 9 during the last round. Let's try to get there. The back 9 is definitely scoreable and I can get a lot of strokes there as well and potentially get to an 8, 9, or 10 down. I have not checked scores and I don't plan to check scores, but I just want to put this one inside of that mando tree because this is a 960 foot par 5. You need to go left of that very white tree down there. I throw on a lot more hyzer than I did the first round because I barely made the mando the first round, but this is a hole that if you're able to throw through the mando with the distance driver on your second shot, it should be a birdie 10 out of 10 times. I do have a slight downhill run up again, and I decided to go slightly flippier than the destroyer that I've been throwing all day, just because the wind is kind of helpful for it, and the run up is a little bit weird, and I want to make sure that I don't go OB left. Throw a pretty solid shot. It leaves me about 220 feet in, and I have a really routine pitch up with my Crystal Flex zone. Just want to put it on some hyzer, leave it out to the left, let the wind help it back to the right. Should be really simple. But just like round 1, I guess I put too much hyzer on it. I don't trust myself. I don't fully commit to the shot, and it ends up leaking behind this tree again. So a hole that I should absolutely be bizarking every single time. I've left myself with a 25 foot putt in both of these rounds. And this one, I'm having to go to the straddle because I'm actually behind the tree. I think this is definitely where you can start to see a lot of my fatigue setting in. And I'm really trying to make sure that I get this putt online. I really learned that in my straddle putts, I need to make sure that I dip that disc as low as I possibly can to give it the juice to get over the rim. And luckily I'm able to put that in the basket. Way too stressful for an easy hole, but it moves us into an island hole, which I somehow didn't birdie last round, and I really wanted to get some revenge on that hole and start my back 9 off right. So to do that, I decided to throw my Firebird on a backhand this time. I think the wind was pushing from the left to the right, so the backhand made a little bit more sense. And I was going to go mid-range, but when I'm getting a little more tired, I'm trying to compensate for that, realize what's going on with my body, and not try to be a hero about it. So I decided to throw a 9-speed, and I'm able to catch that putt. Hole 12 here is really fun in my opinion. There's a mando left to this tree, so I just decided to throw this big, overstable anhyzer around and over everything, and I thought it was perfect again. I thought I absolutely parked the hole, but this is one example of not compensating for being more tired and not realizing that, because I literally thought that I might have aced the hole, but because there was a row behind us, we didn't hear it. But instead, I'm in this tree. I probably should have thrown my red Firebird. It's not a flat top one. It's not quite as overstable. I tried to give this a good bid, but I just absolutely shored it. Maybe should have gone forehand putt there. Maybe should have just thrown it closer to the basket. I don't know. Can't get revenge on this one, which is the one that caused me to spit out during last round. And I'm a little disappointed in that because I felt like that's a relatively easy hole. And I don't feel like I have a great opportunity at birdie on 13, especially being tired. I absolutely don't want to make the mistake of either throwing it short or throwing it right. And so I knew I wanted to juice it and juice it high. Instead, I accidentally throw it a little bit low, and I'm hoping that it'll just kind of sit and stick into the mud that's right by the basket. Instead, it goes about 45-50 long, And because everything this round has just felt that like 1, 2, 3% off, even though my scoring has been pretty decent, I decided to just lay up, preserve my score. I still haven't looked at scores because all I'm really interested in is making sure that I continue to cash, obviously playing the best round that I can, and use this as a learning experience because I do want to win my first MPO tournament, but coming in pretty underprepared or poorly prepared is probably not going to be the time to do that. And this moves us into one of the dumbest things that I have ever done in a disc golf tournament, hole 14.
Oh no. Oh, you're good. Go. Come on back. Super straight. There's a lot of mud there.
So I throw that drive pretty poorly. I just rip it to the right. I was wanting to make sure that I gave it the juice to have it flip up, but I wanted to throw it straight at the basket, not straight into the OB. All of us think that it's basically directly under that bridge, and so I just walk up to where it had gone out, put my lie, end up pitching up, trying to make the putt, give it a pretty decent bid, and then I tapped in for what I think is a bogey. And then as I'm rounding the corner, we had taken out the disc retriever to go and grab my disc out of the water, but turning the corner, we look down and my disc is actually on land. And I had not called a provisional because everybody on the card had thought that it was 100% out of bounds. There's no way that it would be in. And you can see the disappointment and the realization hit me because I know that I'm going to get my first penalty in a disc golf tournament, which can cost me multiple things. At this point, it can cost me almost or more than $100 potentially, and a 1,000 rated round and 1,000 rated tournament. So we start to discuss the options as to what this could mean. We discuss misplay and practice throws. We decide from this point to just take a provisional and talk to the tournament director after. Obviously, what has already been played was not played under a provisional, so we're not just going to be able to take this as a 3. And I am bogey free up to this point with a pretty solid round happening, with a 5 down, with a lot of really birdieable holes, so I could legitimately get to 10 down potentially. I go ahead and tap in what should have just been my par, and I absolutely should have checked to make sure that that disc was out of bounds, but everyone thought that it was completely underneath the bridge. It had to have gotten a weird skip off the water, or we just completely did not understand things, and so obviously bought in the box now. The way that my card mates had decided to score it was as a 5, as if I had taken that 3 with 2 practice throws. And then we would talk to the TD after the tournament in order to obviously finalize the score, because we could also see it being a 6 for the 4 with a misplay, which would be +2. But again, not 100% sure as to how that's going to score. And so that is probably one of the dumber things that I've ever done. But honestly, looking back on it, I don't know if I would have changed anything in the moment because we were 100% sure that was out of bounds. Just always make sure that you have eyes on your disc before you throw your next one, and you can always call a provisional even if your card mates think you're stupid. That's absolutely what I should have done. Luckily, I probably just talked over all of hole 15. I'm able to take the birdie there, get a little bit of a bounce back, moving to hole 16 where I threw out of bounds the day prior. Very disappointed in myself and just disappointed in this round as a whole because it could have been something pretty special. Hole 16, I decided to stable up from my Echo Star that I threw round 1 into just my lighter weight Star Destroyer, give it a little bit of a flip out of the hand. Really happy with that little finger pop. Didn't feel super powerful, but it's just outside the circle, inbounds, which I'm really stoked on, and it leaves me with this putt to try to get back to 5 down, racing those 2 strokes, and again, just leak it out early. Go back and watch yesterday's video if you want an idea as to why I think lower half of my body that didn't work. Upper half, obviously, it's just not getting that pop out of my hands because they just feel absolutely dead. But there's 3 holes left. I think I can go 3 for 3, get back to either 6 or 7 down. But my mental game is a little bit shot right now because I'm really thinking about what could have been, and also I'm thinking about what the actual score is going to be. And so I'm thinking, is that going to be a 5? Is that going to be a 6? How's that going to affect how I play these holes? I know it's playing a little bit harder today. In 17, I ripped my honor on a little too flat of a line, but it leaves me safe in a relatively decent landing zone. I should just be able to pitch up straight. This is the really cool double Mando baseball field hole, but this tree is right in my way and I'm about 320 feet out. So I'm taking my Pathfinder, going to throw it on a slight amount of flex. Don't want to leave it too high so that it goes over the baseball field's OB, but because of that, I actually short it a little bit and leave it a little low and give myself about a 50-foot putt. I only have 1 circle to make so far this tournament. There is a drop off and some OB behind the basket, but it looks lush enough that it'll catch if I don't juice it too far. So I'm absolutely running this putt. Felt pretty good about it, honestly, out of the hand. I thought I had made it. Just leaks a little bit left. None of my putts have had enough spin on them this whole tournament, basically. And now I'm really thinking that I need to get these last 2 to feel confident about shooting that 1,000 rated round and even just having a solid finish in the tournament. I still haven't checked scores because honestly, I'm very disappointed in myself for getting that penalty. The hole 18 should be a birdie every time, and I want revenge on it as well because I missed a 10-foot putt earlier in the day. Start out by throwing a hyzer that I absolutely ripped to the right on accident. I thought I had thrown it OB. Luckily, I just threw it flat. I didn't turn it at all. So it's not in a good spot, but it's absolutely in a doable spot. And I'm having to throw kind of a standstill because you see the tree between that gap over the water. The basket is just to the right of it. So I'm trying to pitch my zone through that gap, put a little too much hyzer, and I was a little afraid that it was going to leak out the right side OB, but it was safe and inbounds with an inside the circle putt to start my birdie streak and hopefully get these last two and finish strong in the tournament. But once again, I mean, I hope we know what I need to work on right now. It is absolutely going to be a lot of circle one putting. I got it chain high, just pushed that one left. I can't blame anything except for my aim point and my focus on that one, but I am very frustrated at that point because I know that I'm better than this, and I also know that my round is not bad, but it's also not good. I feel like I've only so far this year had like 1 or 2 tournament rounds that I've actually been really proud of, and I keep getting close and close and close, but I'm just barely missing that consistency that I need to have to really be shooting great rounds, even though a lot of my rounds are close to that 1,000 rated mark. So hole 1, I have a lot of anger that I need to let out. I'm throwing my EchoStar Destroyer because we got a tailwind, and I just kind of rip it on some Anheuser, pretty nose down, get a very full flight out of it, and leave myself in a position where I probably want to be a little more right, giving myself a little bit of a stretch and a lot of disappointment, a sigh of relief, knowing that, hey, let's execute 2 more shots, 1 up shot and then 1 putt. I decided to range, and I'm about 340 feet out from the basket. I want to go hyzer around everything to the right side, but I don't have a hyzer gap available to me. I do have this forehand, which carries OB almost the entire way, and then there are some trees that hang out over the OB that if you clip any of the branches and drop, you're kind of screwed. But there is one gap that I can go through with my stable destroyer. There is a left to right wind, so it'll help push us that way, but I need to leave it out wide and try to get to that last gap and have it swing in towards the basket, which luckily I'm able to do, get a forward skip and a small little roll, and it leaves me with a 20-foot putt to finish, but putting has absolutely not felt great. I don't know what it is about these last putts. Sometimes I just feel like I need to get off the course, and even though this is a pretty long putt for me today, I finally give it a confident bid. I correct and aim towards that high right side like I should have been doing this whole entire time, knowing that I'm missing left, and I'm able to put it in with a solid finish, bringing me back to 5 down on the day if that is a 5 and not a 6. So that stupidity cost me some cash. We ended up talking to the TD before we finalized the scores, explained the situation, and he rolled it a 5 as well, a 3 with 2 practice throws. I'm sure there could be debate about that, but that's why you asked the TD and his rulings are final. So I ended up at 5 down for that round, which, look at this BS. And it's all my mistake. It's just a frustrating mistake to have made. But that ended up 5 down, 997. 3 points off, and 7 down, which is what I shot, but with the penalty I took the 5, and it probably could have been a little bit better if I wasn't like freaking out about the penalty, but that would have been 10-13 with a good couple of mistakes. So for the event overall, I'm 999 rated. I tied for 7th, and that means that my cash was $208, if you can see there. And my cash, if I would have had those 2 extra strokes, I would have been in solo 5th place, and it would have been $100 more because it wouldn't have split 5th and 6th. But I still cashed $208. I still shot a 999 tournament. The mustache is officially 1,000 rated exactly, which is cool, but there's just so many strokes that I left out there. I know that I could have shot a 1030 tournament if I just cleaned up some of my small mistakes and made some putts. So that's really exciting going throughout the rest of the year. I have 3 tournaments in September, but you're going to be seeing a lot of form work for the next like 3-ish weeks because there are some things that I know I can do to unlock that extra little bit of distance, and we're going to try to do them in the next 3 to 4 weeks. If we can't figure it out, doesn't matter. I can revert to this form and still shoot 1,000 rated golf, I guess, playing decent but not good rounds. But always call it provisional. Always make sure that you know your disc is out of bounds. If you want to check out the first round, which is an exactly 1,000 rated round, check that out right there. I have a lot of awesome videos coming for you in the next week or so. Please subscribe if you want to do that. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.